So the internet definitely had a lot to say when news dropped that Jonathan Majors will be featured on Keke Palmer's podcast, I think this upcoming Tuesday or something. Let's talk about it, y'all. So to start it off, I think this is why, I find birds. I just find birdism to be such an interesting phenomena, right? Because we all saw, right, that Jonathan injured Grace Jabari, right? Like, we saw proof. You heard Jonathan admitting to it, that he was violent to her. You saw text messages of him telling her not to go to the hospital. And so instead of interviewing the people who got hurt, like the victims, y'all are giving this man a platform constantly and giving us these fake sermons about forgiveness and accountability. And so you try to rehabilitate his image, and because you want him back on your screens and stuff, it's like we're expected to ignore the pattern. It's like we're expected to ignore the proof, right? And then people want this stuff made. They want, like I said, Jonathan back on their screens, not caring about how this process works and how the stuff is made. Meaning, if this person has been known to be violent and he's on set, he's going to be around other actors and they're going to be in danger. So it's just a complete lack of critical thinking, I think. Anyway, like we know, news dropped that Keke Palmer is going to have Jonathan Majors on her podcast, as you can see here. And of course, in the description of the episode, to me is a bunch of clownery. Accountability. It's a loaded word, right? We're living in a time where we want real accountability, especially for things men have gotten away with for far too long. At the same time, finding forgiveness feels harder than ever, and we're still figuring out what true accountability even looks like. Today, we're sitting down with Jonathan Majors to talk about what life has looked like after being convicted of harassment and assault. This conversation isn't here to give you all the answers. It's complicated, it's messy, but hopefully it brings us a little closer to understanding the complex emotional landscape of the time we're living through. And I'm just like, imagine you get abused, right? And it's proven in the court of law, proven. And we have literal documentation, right? Recordings of this guy saying that he aggressed you, whatever that means, right? That he was violent with you, right? And we have the documentation of him urging you not to go to the hospital, right? And now these people got him up on these platforms talking, and they're trying to portray this it's talking about forgiveness and accountability, and it's just complicated. People pretend it's so complicated, we got to figure it, we got to sit down and talk it out. But I'm just like, y'all got the abuser on the show and not the abusees. Why don't I ever see these platforms, since the situation is so complicated, why don't I ever see these platforms reaching out to the people who it's been proven in court and documentation? Do you see what I'm saying? That why don't we ever reach out to the other people in this situation who have been affected? Let me tell you something. As a Black queer person, it is just a mind boggling experience to just be walking tightropes. People like me, Black queer people, gotta walk these tightropes, gotta worry about racism from some of these white folks, gotta worry about, queer phobia from some of these Black straight folks. But so to see how the tightropes that Black queer people be walking, and the fact that y'all are so ready to throw away, ignore, ridicule queer Black people, right? Seeing that, looking at it from that perspective, and watching how quick y'all are to let these abusive straight men off the hook, ready to rehabilitate their image, ready to extend a helping hand and let these abusers get y'all again. It is so wild. It is so wild. And then this talk of accountability. Accountability is something I feel it isn't something y'all can decide to just give to abusive men that y'all feel sorry for and or find attractive. I think true accountability is work the person has to do for themselves. It's hard work to change destructive habits if you actually care about being less violent, which 9.9 times out of 10, these men that y'all are trying to rehabilitate their image, they don't care. These men that y'all are trying to give a free pass to, they haven't said sorry. They are narcissists that think that their behavior is everyone else's fault. They make excuses for their horrible behavior or try to deny it, which is what he was doing. So if they aren't willing to accept or feel sorry for what they did, try to make excuses. Oh, I'm a black man. Oh, no, I need my white Coretta Scott. Why are y'all putting him on these platforms trying to do something that he himself, these abusers themselves, not trying to do for themselves? So yeah, clearly the internet reacted by posting this old clip of Keke Palmer defending R. Kelly, and I'm just like, did I remember watching this? Because the stuff she was saying was so wild. I mean, it was so bad that Charlemagne and Angela Yee were the voices of reason. Like, they sound like literally telling her that R. Kelly was taking advantage of underage people, grooming them, and she scoffed it off. She was like, I don't know that side of Kels. She called R. Kelly Kels. I don't know that side of Kels. Like I said, the host was telling her R. Kelly was grooming young girls. And Keke was like, well, that's not the R. Kelly I know. And telling her that, he was running around here giving women STDs and stuff, putting them in danger. And she was like, so what? A lot of guys do that. Of course, telling her that he married Aaliyah when she was 15. And she's like, I don't know about, like, scoffing it all off, shrugging it off. And I know people hate every time I bring up church, but that's how it was. Like, we don't see anything. What? He didn't did that? Oh, that could never be. And then now you're putting this person who's a known abuser because, he could never do something like that, or I don't know nothing about that, even though it's clearly in front of your face. You're putting this abuser in situations for him to get more victims. Got him all up in y'all pews. So I saw in this article, you can find it in my description, where they quoted where Keke talks about her relationship, unhealthy relationship, she said, with Darius. She said, I wish I could say he was terrible the entire time or that I was, but it wasn't that black and white, and that was a problem. I didn't want my son to think his father is a monster because I don't. And like saying that you don't think that he's a monster and that saying I don't want my son to think that he's one, then he don't need to act like one. The only way that you can prevent your son from thinking that he is not a monster is if the father don't act like a monster, okay? I just think that it's this idea of like, oh, well, we got to give him another chance, and he didn't really mean that, and I don't think you're a monster, and da-da-da. That continues to help foster this place of toxicity where we're always turning the other cheek and getting beat down. I just remember those images and videos of the abuse that Keke suffered. I'm just like, it is all right to be like, that was monstrous and I need to separate myself from that. You know what I mean? And so I think it's this like, I don't know, we could tie it back to so many things, like this respectability type of like heteronormativity, churchiness, all wrapped up in one birdism philosophy. You see what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I feel like it puts so many people in danger. It puts so many women in danger, black women in danger, so many people in danger. I think that this rush to forgive these abusive men who have been proven, you know what I mean, that they're violent. I think that this rush to do this and the fact that it takes priority so oftentimes over listening to victims' stories, the fact that y'all would do this and dismiss, like, oh, I didn't hear nothing about that, like she was doing with R. Kelly on the Breakfast Club. I don't know nothing about that. That's not the person I know. The fact that so often it's this rush to forgive these men and completely invalidate these victims' stories is it's a lot. And I know everybody like, oh, well, you didn't see the interview yet. You didn't listen to it. Okay. But I'm saying the simple fact that so often these type of men get platforms and the victims don't is absolutely preposterous. That's it. Thank y'all so much for watching. I love you so much, and make sure you have a good goddamn evening.
This ain't the only, push that holy, worship me, yeah, you can blow me